Yeah. So now I think we are talking from the broader perspective, right? How a project execution and how visibility is important in a broader perspective, right? Because we have various solutions which is out there in the market, right? Which claims to do various things, right? But what happens when we go into the execution stage is what I think the real product you see, right? So that is where I think we see how consolidation is very important in the current scenario because you have various solutions deployed in your infrastructure, right? Through various level, right? Through the edge level, gateway level, or the various other corners of your infrastructure, right? So the first problem happens is you don't have a visibility, right, of your infrastructure because you have various tools deployed, then various resources which are monitoring on those perspective, right? So visibility becomes the first criteria so that no once you have the visibility then only whatever problem arises you are able to see it and then execute it, right? So detection also becomes the major aspects, right? Because there are two aspects, right? One is the detection and the second is the taking action to mitigate those threat which is out there, right? So that is where I think you need to have a comprehensive approach, right, wherein you are able to see what is there in your environment, right? And then I think on a timely basis, you take action to contain and eliminate those threats out there, right? So now I think when we talk about the broader, I think modular aspects of solutions, right? Then you have, I think, various, I think you see, I think you might have known this various aspects of the solutions, right? And these comes in various modules by a different vendor makes, right? And you consolidate this to form a solution. Either you integrate all these solutions, right, and then form a solution, or maybe uh, you have various, I think, manual work done to do this, right? So now coming back to, I think, why I think this various modular approach doesn't work, right? Because of course, I think these are various solutions developed on various platforms. If you want to integrate them, it itself is a operational task, right? And maybe the attacker can anyways execute those backdoors and get into your infrastructure environment and before you come to know, right? Because the history is like, no, detection takes previously a day or week or even month, right? If you have a bigger infrastructure, right? So your goal is to at least find the fault in your environment in real time basis and then on immediate basis take action to contain and eliminate those threats, right? So that's why I think if you go for a comprehensive approach, a platform based solution wherein you are able to integrate all your data sources, and then because most of the cases 60-70% only infrastructure or the solutions are integrated or the data source are integrated. 15-20% of the data is still left open, right? So the correlation or the whatever manual, if you do it right, you then don't get to the actual threat or actual no threat scenarios, right? So that is where I think, first of all, when you think of any solution, right? First of all, on the first level itself only, you have to go for 100% data source integration, right? So you have to ask your vendor, right, whether have you covered all our infrastructure from the data perspective, be it logs, network traffics from various devices, your controller, firewall, servers, Windows, and cloud sources, right? So you make sure, I think, those data sources are integrated and you are able to see it so that, no, I think you have a visibility. And then from that visibility, whatever threat scenario arises, you are able to take care of it, right, on a timely basis manner, right? So now coming back to why I think you need these solutions, right? I think so. There are, if you categorize from broader perspective, there are three aspects why you will buy a solution, right? First is security. You don't want your data to go off your environment, right? That is the first reason why you want to buy a solution. Second is disruption, business disruption. You don't want your system to be infected with certain malware or a ransomware attack, or your system is down for 2-3 weeks due to some attack, right? That causes a business disruption, I think, which you can quantify the losses, right? If your system is shut down for 3-4 days, or which sector of the business they are, right? You can, I think, quantify the losses, right, in the revenue perspective, right? And the third is compliance, right? So these three categories, if you consolidate, are the major factors through which anybody or any environment will tends to buy a solution, right? So you have to make sure like all these three scenarios are being covered from a single platform perspective. Otherwise, you'll have to spend various amount of dollars or money, right, into buying those different solutions which covers these criteria, right? So that is one I think which you need to see from the consolidation perspective, right? Now, coming back to I think these are maybe if you see from the broader perspective, these are various model solution. But I think from the overall perspective, I think it covers in the overall solution perspective, right? Now, going back to the why comprehensive solution or the approach is possible, right, or is required, right? Because I think we have seen ourselves, right? Because we as a solution provider, right, we have ventured into various projects and various no help various customers, right, to get into the consolidation move and see the visibility, right? Initially, they were not able to visualize what is happening in the environment, right? It took them a day, a week, right? And by the time you come to like this, so the first move, like how from different sector of the business, we have no help our customer was power sector, right, which we have come across, right? So in one of the projects which we have executed, this project was no taken by some vendor, right? I don't want to name the vendor. And they have, it was a RFP, right? And they won this project based on I think government how it works, right? L1 criteria, right? But when they started, the customer started doing the scrutiny of the product, right? They were far away from what they were claiming to do, right? So that customer told the partner, I think, who have won the project with that vendor, either you get this criteria qualified, or either we change the vendor, or I think we will do a retenting, right? So that is where I think we as a solution provider, they approached us, right? And that is where I think we got into action, right? And now I think the crux of the matter is we are executing this complex project. Because you get into any project, right? Bigger project, right? So you never have a plain vanilla environment, right? Like simple integration, you are get and go, right? So there is always a 15-20% new development which you have to do, right? Which as a product company, right? Any product company should do that, right? But the challenge is, right, the product company or the traditional vendors, right? They have that traditional approach that no, the solution has to be this way only. It has to be done this way only, right? So that is where I think our approach is right. Okay, we understand like 70% we execute in a standard method, but 30% if something innovation, integration which has to be done. So then I think we have our R&D team, our team, they get into action to understand, sit with the customer, and then get into plan of execution, right? So that is where I think this is one of the cases I think which we have got into, right? This was a complex project, but I think our team, with the help of our team, right, we were able to execute it in a timely fashion and manner, right? So that is one, I think, cases, because see, there will be various people and various, I think, platform or solution, right? They will claim like, no, we'll do this and that, right? But actually get into the, minor details of how they will be able to, whether they have earlier done it, how technical expertise they have, right? So I think that is one, what is a sector of, I think, which we have done and executed it quite pretty well, right? So that is one. Now, coming back to one of the smart city projects, I just want to talk about it, right? And by the way, I think the power sector one, this was already won by another vendor, but I think we got it and executed it, right? The second one is one of the smart city project. This was also again won by one of the customers, one of the partner and their favorite vendor, right? But again, there was a problem, right? Because when you get into a project, right, you win the project. So in that project, after that, scrutiny happens, right? So a lot of documentation, use cases, and various technicalities gets involved, wherein you have to sit before project execution. You have to sit with the customer and then discuss various nitty-gritty of the project, right? How the architecture has to be done, because you will never get a plain vanilla environment to do your execution, right? Trust me, right? Because we are into various projects, we know how difficult it is, right? So if you are not an innovation company, you will not be able to address these various scenarios which might be come across, right? Because if it is a large enterprises, right, 100% you will not know, I think, when you get into that bidding part, right? After you winning, you get to know lot many more new things, which you have to know as a solution provider, you have to design, work, and then execute, right? So this again, this is one of the smart city projects based out in North, right? which we got into right after their favorite vendor was not able to. We got into sat with the customer partner, and then I think this is where I think no, we again this prestigious project was executed, in a timely fashion and manner, right? So it is again how innovative you are, how flexible and how I think open you are. Because if you are rigid, no, it has to be done this way only, right? So I think you have seen the history is that if you don't innovate, you don't become flexible and open for discussion, right? Then I think you may not exist or cease to exist maybe in the future, right? So this is one of the smart city project, right? Maybe which we have executed. And maybe I don't want to name the project, but maybe one to one, if you can connect, we can talk about it, right? But this is just, I think, one of the projects prestigious which you have got into and executed, right? Now, coming back to one of the, again, refinery project, this recently, I think we have more, right? So again, I think we have been engaged with the customer, right, since 1.5 years, right? Again, this was won by some vendor, and again, they were using the solution, right? But they were not happy with what they claim, right? Because once the execution started, they went into this execution mode for 6 or 7 months, right? And the output which they saw was not which I think they thought to be, right. So again, I think again there was a RFP out. In this case, we didn't get into, right, because for the procedure stake, right. They again retender it, and again I think no, we as a solution provider won it because we had been engaged with the customer. Customer knew the solution, but because of those various criterias through which I think no various people play around, right. They won, but I think now this time the customer was pretty wiser, so he knew what he wanted to do, right. And again, I think we got into this, right, and we now I think it is in the initial no phase of execution, right, and we are doing it no quite and pretty well, right, on that part, right. So and all these various I think you see are different sector of the business, right, because if you see security is not specific to any segment now, right. Now initially it was to be a BFSI segment, right, banking, finance, insurance and securities, right, but now it is open for all, right. Everybody needs security, right, so that no their infra, whether it's small, big, or how this is scalable they have to secure, right, because as and when we go on the digital, right, digital front, right, you need security, right. So that is where I think these I think you see the different aspect, and these are from different sectors of the business, right, if you see the category, right. Now, last but not the least is one of the securities, right. So this I think we have won some 3.5 years back, right. And this customer was using one of the known product, which is a legacy solution. They are pioneer in the industry, right. They do in and out of solution, right. But what happened, the customer, it was deployed in the customer premises, but the customer was not operating it, right. A customer, of course, was the front end, but the back end, the vendor was sitting in their environment and they were operating it. So that is how see the solution was so complex that they needed vendor to operate, and do the services, right. And they were the front end, right. So they always have to be dependent on the vendor to do anything, right. So the problem is whenever there was an audit, right, because these securities every quarter they have audit, right, they have to submit the compliance report, right. And this is one of the big stockbroking firms, right. So it was a project for them, right. 50-20 days, all their IT and securities, they were, I think, on their toes, right, to get this execution done, right. Now, if you see, like in the current scenario, time is very important. If you put all your resources in trying to get this compliance done, right, it's a very tedious task, right. And a lot of manual efforts were being done, and they have to be rely on their vendor, right, to know to do the major analytics and major hunting job, right. So that is where I think they were in the 5 year contract with that vendor. In the second year, they got to know us, right? They evaluated our product, and parallelly they run, because they were venturing from a known vendor to a vendor, I think, which was, I think, a innovative company, right? So they evaluated us. They ran the product in their environment parallelly with the existing vendor, and they saw like no, their 70-80% the job was done, right? Like the initial level of data curation, integration of data, where I think a lot of manual people were there writing rules and no, writing a lot of stuff, right? It was gone, right? Now we knew, I think, no product is, I think, runs on its own, right? But we as a solution, right? What we did, right? we applied the human intelligence at the later end, not at the initial end, and doing a lot of, I think, manual jobs, right? And human error can also cost you, right? So that is where I think we define where I think human intelligence is required, and where I think no, the automation and no, the platform will help us out, right? Because you understand that, right? A human has a capacity, right? They cannot evaluate billions and millions of events in a specific time period, right? Of course, but the platform or the system can do it, right? So that is where I think we as a technology innovation provider, we have that, I think, capabilities, right, in a comprehensive platform, right from the data collection till you get the threats on the dashboard. It's all automated, and we put like the SOC provider or the human intelligence at the later end, where they monitor it and then take corrective action. So that's why they save time. Immediately they get the threat to see, right? So that no, they can do their basic investigation, and then they take corrective action, because the auto remediation or remediation is also the functionality which I think your solution should have it, right? So that no, you can do it via manual or automation, right? So this, I think, security, I think they got out of the contract in the second year itself only, right? They deployed it on premises. Now this guy is running the platform on its own, because they already had a team, so that he's running on his own. Now it's 3.5 years, right? They only come like for upgrades, and this is how simple and innovative solution is it, right? And they are already up and in. So they come to us for any critical thing, right? Because we do help our customer 24/7, right, for any criticalities, right? So that is where I think the difficult, complex, which the other OEMs or other guys, they show it as a rocket science, right? But in our scenario, it's just a plain walk and piece of cake, right? Because we have been doing this in and out during our last maybe 9 years, which we have been doing, right? And still now, I think a lot of innovation. So the product which you are seeing today, from our perspective, maybe 6 months, 1 year down the line, you will see a couple of 20-30% new features and new innovative platform, which I think you'll come to see, right? So that is where I think you see from different sector of the business, they have adopted, we have executed, and they are quite happy. And maybe offline, maybe you can talk to these various customers, partners, right, and see how I think it is faring in that case, right? So, and this is various, and from various small sector to large enterprises, we cover all of it, right? It is not like no, okay, only enterprise and only SMBs or only, right? So we have the capability to scale to any level, right? You ingest the data, you give us the traffic, right? And we are able to, and I think, ingest all those traffic and give you the analytics onto the dashboard, so that no, with minimum human interface, you are able to see it, right? And you can just literally play with the platform, right? This is how simple and ease of use which we have made, right? So I think you can talk to various partners, various MSPs, I think, who are using a platform to give service to various customers, right? Because I think, because any solution you buy, it should cover various aspects, right? It should be technically good, right? Innovation should be there, right? Ease of use should be there, right? And of course, I think it also should know, from the commercial point also, it should help you, right, in the longer run, right? So this is how I think various aspects of the technology and the innovation and the commercials which you should look into, so that no, and we should always ask your, I think, various vendors these various questions, right? Like whether you can integrate all the data source, how simple ease of use is it, and how in how much time you are able to integrate all your data sources, right? Because some people do the integration takes maybe 6 months, a year time, right, to do the integration only, right? Forget about you using no, using the real product, right? So this is how I think, maybe various aspects of, I think, which we discussed, right? You can talk to various I think solution provider which may come across, right? And do that to enhance your thing, right? So this is I think a couple of, I think, the points. Because if you categorize threats, these are only categorized because you can do into very subcategories: known and unknown threats. Known, all your various signature base and all the basic solutions, they do that, right? But the real challenge happens when any new threat which is born today comes into environment, right? It will easily bypass your firewall. It will easily go undetected on your EDR or antivirus. And that is where I think you should be quite vigilant, so that no, you have get the visibility of that particular new malware or zero day which is coming into environment, right? So that is where I think no, as a solution provider, we help you with various aspects of threat, analogy which comes into environment, give you the visibility so that you see it, and then I think you have the luxury of investigating and taking care of it then and there itself only, right? So detection and mitigation both should go hand in hand. It is not like you detect it and then do the R&D and take the action after 3-4 hours something. No, if you get the detection, investigate it and close it within few minutes of you.
Good evening, everyone. This is Aniket Garo from the Solution Architects team. So, as Smit mentioned, today we are going to discuss about the compliance reports, which become very important especially when we are talking about a cybersecurity audit and overall security uh, posture. So, just let me share my screen and we can. Okay, so as you all know, most of you, like nowadays, cybersecurity. Whenever you are implementing a cybersecurity platform or any solution which is related to cybersecurity, the most important questions that come up is like, how are you going to ensure that the solution that has been implemented is working as per requirements. So that's where we have periodic security audits. Like nowadays, these security audits are have become very important from any compliance achievement point of view. So anytime when you have an internal or an external audit, the first thing the auditor needs to know is where are the compliance reports, right? So this is to ensure that there is a transparency and you have a concrete suggestions that are being implemented in any organizations towards improvement of the security structure. There are specific directions towards enhancing the safety, security, and efficiency of the set processes for any organizations. This will, in turn, benefit the customers and ultimately benefit the business, thus for any growing company, which is very important. And then periodic gap analysis or security audit that has been done so that you know where are the security gaps and how they can be filled up. And there has to be some time bound action plan to address these gaps and to carry out the overall process. You need to have the well defined roles and responsibilities. Okay, from the senior management, which needs to be defined for any organization. So, today, we are going to talk about very important one, that is the finance sector. During his discussion, Vinay mentioned that nowadays, I mean, there has been like earlier, it was like finance sector was the most uh, the common one that used to look out for carrying out security audits or carrying out stringent security norms. Nowadays, it is not the case, but still, the finance sector is the one where still there are quite a few compliance requirements that needs to be fulfilled if you have to carry out the business in a specific time. So banking as well as non-banking sectors, which are growing in size and complexity over the last few years, they have to carry out these, they have to ensure that these stringent norms of cybersecurity are followed to prevent any frauds happening in the wild. There are various sorry, there are these various frameworks that have been released by RBI, by SEBI, by IRDA, in their respective domains, which needs to be followed by these companies which are under these these organizations, so that the so that they are doing business in a proper manner, and there is a proper set of rules and regulations that are to be followed when we are talking about the cybersecurity compliance. When they need to be compliant or they need to be certified that they are compliant, they need to follow these rules and follow the frameworks that are defined by these organizations. So, I mean, what is the best possible way? So, as a cybersecurity platform, uh, Seceon provides these tools which are helpful to the customers or the security administrators to improve the overall security or get a report about the overall security within the organization. The AI Security BI 360, which you might have seen in various our presentations or demonstrations, which have been introduced in the Seceon platform. This ensures that you are helped uh, while carrying out various security audits, and there are reports which will guide you how you can achieve that compliance in the best possible way. The filling up of gaps. You need to have proper reports which will help you in moving towards filling these gaps and achieve the compliance or the certifications. So that is where the AI security tool will help you out. It is a comprehensive tool which is designed to analyze and present the data uh, in a standard format, and give you an option to create customized reports as per your requirements. I mean, it could be the requirement, individual requirement for any organization, or requirements for a specific cybersecurity framework to be achieved. Okay. So there are three easy steps, like in which this AI security will work. You create a virtual visual representation of the data using the default KPIs that are already present. So most of the requirements will be carried out or will be done using the default KPIs. If not, then you can create your own dashboards using like additional KPIs, the customized KPIs, which we are going to see in our presentation down the line. And you can have a customizable layout, like you want to have the reports generated in various different format, graphical format, tabular format, graphs. It could be pie charts, it could be bar graphs, so on and so forth, or a simple table format. So different kinds of reports, you can get it generated through the customized KPIs that are created in the AI security tool. Once that is done, then the third one is you just have to publish it, and that's it. You are ready with your reports to be sent to the auditor. So create a KPI, manage or customize the existing KPI, and publish it. It's as simple as that. So advantages for the AI security tool. So as I said, like you have a set of dashboards that are predefined. You can collect the data from that. You can create your own branded reports. Okay. Of course, there are out of the box reports that are present, but as per individual organizations' requirement, you can have your own customized reports created, libraries that can help you in creating your own compliance report. And all this happens using standard query language. So it's not a very complex, queries and complex database management that you need to learn or work with to generate your reports. So we'll see how individual reports can be created in an real-time and scheduling format. Okay. So, for example, to go with an example, we will be talking about the RBI compliance framework. So, as most of you might have worked for with any of the banks at some or the other level, you know that for banking sectors, or for that matter, non-banking sector as well, the controller, especially in this part of the world, India, RBI does all the controls. Like they have the set of guidelines that are released from time to time. They modify it from time to time, and certain enhancements are added, and you need to be compliant with these guidelines. So whenever there is an audit, these compliance reports are the ones which helps the auditors or the security administrator to know what are the gaps and how to fill up these gaps. Okay, so it is an extensive framework which has been released by RBI over a period of time. And there are, as I said, like the changes are going on. So there are 100 plus points which they have mentioned. It covers all the aspects, not only the cybersecurity, although we are going to discuss about that. But there are that is a comprehensive list of 100 plus points defined by and released by RBI. Out of these, we can say around 50% of the point, 40 to 50% of the points are related to IT. Okay, and then two-thirds of these 50% are related to cybersecurity alone. So this is how they, as I said, like they continuously release this points, and based on the existing framework that RBI has released, we can create a publish a report, okay, which will help, as I said, which will help the security administrator or the auditor to know what are the gaps which needs to be filled when we are talking about the compliance part. Okay, so I've listed these some of the points as per the IT policy sections and all. Okay, just for a reference purpose, as you could see, like around 30 to 40 points are there, which are listed in the RBI framework. So now, like we have seen, what are the requirements? Okay, so how do we fulfill the requirements? Our next point to be discussed would be how do we fulfill the requirements. So before wasting, without wasting any other time, we will just go to the demo to see how the report can be generated and how we can see it or create the one. Okay, just let me stop and reshare the screen here. Okay. Okay. I hope my screen is visible.
Yes.
Oh, so as I said, like AI Security BI 360, this is a powerful tool which is part of the Seceon platform, which is going to help you with various reports. So before we move to that, as you must be knowing, like some of you have been using Seceon platform since long. So there are uh, compliance report options that were provided by Seceon earlier as well, like HIPAA, PCI DSS, NIST. These reports were provided by Seceon platform since long. So what's new? Now each and every, as I said, like there are different parts wherein each and every vendor will face requirements about compliance from different organizations. So how do we go about it? So the best thing is through a single platform, you can work out compliance for all, different kinds of organizations. So when we are talking about RBI compliance, which is our example for today, so what we do, we have to create basically different KPI visualizations. Okay, this KPI visualizations will give us an option, like we can just have a description created. As you can see here, this is just a text which will give the, I will give you the title and mention what is the exact point, which section it belongs to. Okay, once that is done, then uh, then I can go to basically get that thing added in the get the platform to collect the data as per that point. Okay, and then uh, view that, the data could be published. So I'll just show you an example about. So one of the points that we have seen is about the vulnerability. Okay, vulnerabilities that are detected by the within the organization, or vulnerability score. So this is one of the points in the RBI compliance report. So we have created uh, compliance report which will give all the vulnerabilities and the affected host count. So I have created a new table. Okay, just provide the notes or explanation for the table. Data, what I want, what information I want to be added, like count, affected host count. Okay, what number I want to have, if I want to get the CVI ID and all. Okay, so I've given the column name. So this is the table that I am creating. And on the right hand side, I will just give the query, loosen query, as you would be aware of, those who have already worked with Seceon. They might be using this loosen query quite frequently to gather or filter out the data. So I will just give the vulnerability assessment as a loosen query, and this is it. I create the data. So I will just save this, and this KPI is ready. Okay. So similarly, different kinds of KPIs would be created as per requirements, as per individual security framework points that I mentioned. Like I want to give the CVSS score. So I create a graph which will give the IP-wise detection about count. It will give you the count of the CVSS score that is found in the platform. Okay. And then once all these KPIs are created, I will just create a RBI compliance report and add these KPIs in it. Okay. So this is the compliance report that I have created and published, and it will show me under the published report. So I can just go here, various published reports I can see, and I will just create it, publish it. So I've got RBI compliance introductory page. Okay, what information it is giving. Okay, what is the cybersecurity framework related to, how RBI looks at managing the cybersecurity framework, guidelines that are provided by the RBI to ensure that the cybersecurity framework is achieved, and then the various points. So identification and classification of information assets, whatever asset configuration or asset grouping has been done within the platform, it would then network name, the various threat indicators that are found and the various different asset groups. So as you can see, like there are a graphical representation has been created. So these are the various KPIs that have been created. Okay. Incident management. What are the different incidents that were reported within the organization? how many of the security alerts were remediated, how many are open, how many are closed. So all the incident management report, alert actions, how many alerts, what are the different alerts that were detected, what are the type of alerts that were detected. So all these would be under the incident management. Incident management becomes not only for RBI, but for any security audit, if you consider. This is a very commonly used or required report. So you can gather all the details about particular incident management. Okay. Then audit trails. Okay. Different as well as web security domain measures. So for web security domain measures, in fact, we have the complete AI 360 score, which gives you a complete idea about how safe your web domain is, what is the safety related score that is achieved by your web domain, so on and so forth. All that information you can get it. As I was saying, vulnerability management policy, which is a separate section in this compliance report. So all these vulnerability management policy is you can get the information about like CVE score, CVSS score, the various CVEs that are detected within the organization, so on and so forth. So, as you can see, all these reports are this, these KPIs are created under this reports. Okay, so all like here it's an example. So that is how all the 30, 40, 50 points what are required, you can get it created and you can add it to the published reports. Now the best thing about this published reports is like once you have published it here, you need not come to the console every time to get it. Okay, once these reports are generated as a published report, you can either download it, okay, as a PDF file, or you can also get it configured for a periodic email to be sent. So like you might be having an idea about the reporting options, okay, wherein you can create a scheduled task. So similarly, I can go to custom task under the schedule task. Okay, RBI compliance report, of course, not once a day, once a quarter, once a month, as per required frequency. I can set it out and I can get it emailed. So once I get it emailed, I mean, instead of coming to the console, I can just see that report in my inbox as and when it is required. So I will just show you how that report can be exported or what you get with the exported report. Okay, so here it is. The RBI compliance report is ready. Of course, as you know, you can add your own logo as well as and when required using the branding options. And this is how the same thing which we just saw in the console, you can get it in the reported format. So if you have done it as a table report, as a graphical representation, you can get all the reports exported in your inbox. So based on that, it becomes very easy for any security administrator to work with the auditor or to submit these things to the auditor so that, the action that needs to be carried out can be well defined. And not only that, once the action is carried out, they can also generate a compliance report, okay, saying that whatever vulnerabilities were detected have been like plugged in, and there is the overall security compliance has been met successfully. So this is how you can get it generated as per the requirement. So yes, as I said, like there are two options wherein you can get it, publish it as a dashboard, as well as you can get it exported in a report form. So this is how you can, work with any of the reports. Like not only as we saw this, this was an example for RBI compliance, but similarly we can get any other framework, okay, to be added, like say the IRDA or any other framework to be added in the report format and get the report generated as per requirements. So yes, that's it regarding these. If there are any questions or queries, please go ahead.
Anjali, are there any questions or anything like that?
No, Smit, that is again, there's one question which is related to deployment, Smit. They wanted to know more, discuss about deployment things like, for servers and other things.
Oh, okay. All right. Do we need to address any of that here or we are good?
No, I think that maybe next when we have a Tom demonstration next week, right? So maybe at that point of time we can discuss on that.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight that Aniket is talking about is that the entire framework is put together so that every regional compliance can be put together on a continuous compliance basis. So what does that mean? So we know that the specific country, like the one that Aniket was talking about for India for the RBI compliance, have their own compliance requirement. I think last week somebody asked about triple C or something from the, I think the Middle East region, and we can do those things. So any of the compliance that are changing now are going to be incorporated. So one of the things that we found out is that the CMMC is also changing, and I think this week or so this new draft has come out, or the planning has come out. William had shared that. So those type of things are going to constantly happening, and we need to ensure that the framework that we offer to you all is ready for you to adapt it, and we will certainly do that as well. But you don't need to wait. If you need something urgently, you can adjust it to the minimal requirement that you have for your client and work through that. So that's the idea behind the framework that we have put together. Hopefully, it's going to help us all. Um, um, and I think that's going to be it for today, unless William Chandra is on the call. I don't know if he can speak. He's traveling, I know. William and Chandra, do you guys want to add anything before we?
Yeah, I have nothing to add this week. Thank you, Smit.
Thank you. Thank you all.